Or Laurel Erickson. This is News Conference.
We're starting in the neighborhoods of greatest need.
Movie director Rob Reiner helped win tobacco tax money to improve schools and help kids. This week, Reiner's First Five group helped launch an ambitious plan to make preschool available to all California 4-year-olds. One-on-one with Rob Reiner. Reiner on his pal, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Reiner ready to propose yet another tax hike to pay for preschool. Reiner on the LA mayor's race.
You need to have very specific powers of this mayor, and the mayor in this city doesn't even have the bully pulpit because no one cares.
I love the pop psychology involved here.
Golly. We've had the playoffs. Now it's the championship games for the LA mayor's race. Tomorrow night, NBC4 co-hosts the first debate between the men who would be the next mayor, incumbent Jim Hahn and Antonio Villaraigosa. Welcome to Sunday News Conference. Film director Rob Reiner, and yes, a squad of spin and political insight on the mayor's race. NBC4 political analyst Sherry Bebich-Jeffy in the newsroom. Former Bob Hertzberg spin guy Matt Szabo, and KFI radio talk show host John Ziegler. Welcome to all of you. First,
because he's been going on the attack against me since the day of his announcement, Mr. Finnegan. And every day I try to do something positive since the runoff, his campaign has come up with something negative against me. If you haven't noticed.
We are focused today on moving this city forward.
The LA mayor's race, Mr. Hahn angry, Antonio Villaraigosa winning support from U.S. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a powerful player in electing Jim Hahn mayor 4 years ago. What does this mean for a mayor who won with African-American and Valley voters? Is Hahn toast? Or is Villaraigosa all flash? Tomorrow night, NBC4, in partnership with Cal State Northridge, hosts the first runoff debate for the LA mayors. Our shadow debate today, former mayoral candidate Bob Hertzberg had him running public relations spin guy Matt Szabo. Welcome.
Thank you.
KFI talk show host John Ziegler, and our own political analyst Sherry Bebich-Jeffy. Sherry, are you there? You've done the numbers, Sherry. Is this a numbers game or is this an endorsement momentum, kind of a show? Are the numbers there to back it up? Who's got the lead right now?
Well, I haven't seen any polling, Laurel, so I really don't know, but I've been sort of tweaking the exit poll figures, and it looks like Antonio Villaraigosa is in a very strong position. It's not unlike the pattern of 2001. The major difference coming out of the election is that Villaraigosa came out with about a 9-point lead over Hahn, and he had a 5-point lead in 2001. This is why what we're seeing now, the march of the endorsements, may play a significant role in lining up momentum. Right now, it appears that the momentum is a bit more with Villaraigosa than with the incumbent mayor.
Well, Sherry, you eat this stuff up. I got to tell you, John Ziegler is sitting here with me in the studio, and he says, I haven't got a dog in this hunt. What's the deal? You're not interested.
Well, nor are my listeners on KFI, Laurel, and there's good reason. First of all, one of the most staggering statistics from the primary was that the incumbent mayor received only 6% of all registered voters in Los Angeles. 6%
Doesn't
showed
that back up what she's saying?
Well, no, it shows that no one cares about this, and he made the runoff, which is truly astonishing.
Wait a minute.
As far
John,
as the
6%, where'd that come from?
No, 6% of all registered voters showed up to vote for Mayor Hahn. That is an astonishing statistic.
6% of all eligible voters.
Right, exactly.
Not registered voters. 26%.
Okay.
There's no arguing
on,
against
John.
apathy here. There's no arguing about apathy. And the reason is we have no choice in the matter. People like me look at this and we see Mayor Hahn, who is boring, he's a liberal, he's pandering, I think he's a crook, against Villaraigosa, who is an avowed socialist with a made-up name, who, for all intents and purposes, may not have our country's best interest at heart. There's no choice here.
Yvonne Guevara, producer, have you got a call to the lawyers at this point? Are you serious? You really, you think he's a communist?
No, I said socialist.
Socialist.
Yes.
Matt Szabo, you've got more interest. This guy ran the PR for Bob Hertzberg. He came out like a giant among the dwarf city. Tell me, is he going to endorse Hahn?
Well, I think...
Or is he going to endorse Villaraigosa?
At this point, I can't really tell you. But what I will say is that Number one, I would be shocked if he endorsed Mayor Hahn, given what we know about the mayor, given what we know about his record.
Well, the mayor did run a lot of attack ads against
Well, I mean,
Bob
here's the thing. I mean, Bob Hertzberg came within a point and a half of knocking the mayor out of the runoff. And if there is any such thing as pay-to-play corruption, it certainly paid off for the mayor, because in the last week of the election, he dumped about $1 million in independent
Will Bob
expenditures against us.
Hertzberg endorse Antonio Villaraigosa, his old roommate?
I honestly can't tell you, but if he does...
But if you knew, would you?
I don't know if I would, but I honestly don't know at this point. If he does endorse Antonio Villaraigosa, though, that will signal the complete demise of what was once this Valley South LA coalition that the mayor won 4 years ago with.
John Ziegler, you don't like either of these guys, but of the two of them, since you're totally outside the scope on this, who do you think would be better for the city of Los Angeles?
Well, I think we learned a lot with the first segment of this program and the beginning of this segment with the Rob Reiner endorsement and the Maxine Waters endorsement of Antonio Villaraigosa. I now know who to distrust more. That's obviously Antonio Villaraigosa. So if Maxine Waters and Rob Reiner are endorsing Antonio, then maybe I need to take another look at Mayor Hahn.
Matt Szabo, the Republican, the conservative voters in the Valley, are they going to go for somebody who's backed by Maxine Waters and Rob Reiner?
Well, if Bob Hertzberg endorses Antonio Villaraigosa, he's going to give the safety seal. He's basically going to put a Hertzberg safety seal on Antonio and going to say, look, voters in the Valley, it's okay to vote for Antonio Villaraigosa. I know him, and you can trust him. And I think that will be very significant, and it could make the difference in this race.
Okay, we're going to come back. Sherry, I know you're dying to get into this thing. All right, just come back. We'll be back in just a minute.
Dents, dings, fender bender, rear ender, even a little hit's a big deal, especially if you're paying out of your pocket for repairs. Maaco guarantees a seamless repair. Little hits, no big deal, just a great deal. But only at Maaco, the Cosmolision specialist.
Keeping your word. It's a cherished principle we teach our students.
So how can Governor Schwarzenegger break his promise?
Borrowing $2 billion from the education budget he now says he won't pay back.
And by breaking his pledge to respect our voter-approved minimum level of school funding,
the governor's shortchanging every classroom by $25,000.
Meaning larger classes and fewer textbooks.
So when you hear the governor talk about reform, ask yourself if that really means breaking his word to our schools and kids.
Welcome back. Sherry's dying to get into this. Sherry, go ahead. The debate tomorrow night, what do you see?
Well, what I see is the formal beginning of the runoff campaign. This is where the candidates are going to try to frame their image and the image of their opponents. I'm going to watch to see if it gets a little bit nasty, Laurel.
Well, we're expecting that, aren't we?
Well, we don't know, quite frankly.
Matt Szabo, what do you think?
Well, I think the clip, Laurel, that you showed in the beginning of the show shows two things. Number one, it shows the debate's going to be interesting. Number two, it shows that Jim Hahn is in real trouble because he has this propensity to really lose it when he's down. And in fact, again, the last week leading up to the election, it was pretty clear that Hertzberg was on top of Hahn. He had some pretty strange behavior, some of it in public, some of it on KFI.
Yeah, I can speak to that. On KFI on Election Day, Mayor Hahn did an interview with my colleague John Cobalt on the John and Ken Show and literally broke down in tears and hung up the phone on Election Day. This man is not stable.
Listening to those two guys, I'm not surprised that somebody might break down in tears. Give me a break.
He was being nice.
Give me a break. Sherry, pick this up.
Well, I love the pop psychology involved here.
Golly.
The guy is tired, he's tense, and he breaks down, quote unquote, therefore he's not stable.
And let's not forget the fact that the guy put the numbers together.
I mean, let's just not go there. Can we begin to talk about issues? Can we begin to take a little higher road?
All right, how about schools? Your people brought schools into the race. The mayor's calling for a revolution by parents.
Once again, you have, in the primary, Bob Hertzberg talked about breaking up LAUSD. Everybody mocked him. And now it's basically a race between Jim Hahn and Antonio Villaraigosa to who can outschool each other on the issue. It's going to be a major issue. It has to be an issue. Harvard just came out with the study that validated what we've been saying all along, that 54%.
What does the mayor really do unless he's...
Well,
go ahead, Sherry, go ahead.
No, that was my question, Laurel. I'm so tired of this, guys. What can the mayor do? He has no authority over the
Your
school district.
guy wanted to go on the. Your guy, Hertzberg, talked about coming up with some kind of ballot initiative. And then when he talked about filling the potholes, he talked about borrowing more money. So
you have to be creative. That's the whole problem. That's why people aren't interested in this race, because you have a mayor who doesn't think creatively at all. You don't have you need to have
very
creative
specific
ideas.
powers of this mayor, and the mayor in this city doesn't even have the bully pulpit because no one cares and he can't get media time like, for instance, Governor Schwarzenegger can. He has no power. One of the reasons people don't care.
And Governor Schwarzenegger, how's he doing, John Ziegler?
You know, the jury's still out on him. I'm very disappointed as a libertarian conservative, and I think he'll continue to lose support. I think that this redistricting plan is key to changing the momentum, but the Democrats aren't afraid of him because he didn't change any seats in November, and it's because we need redistricting.
To get it back to the issue, though, it is important that Arnold Schwarzenegger supported the plan to break up the school district.
I mean, he has nothing to say about it either.
But it means that it's an issue that it's time to act on that issue. I mean, it's time for a mayor to step up.
What about the school board? What about the school district?
Exactly.
What about these people sitting down there in this marble tower down there? I mean, they've got incredible offices downtown, and the kids are in trailers.
And the #1 issue for the voters.
I know, they're building lots of new schools. I can hear Roy Romer right now calling me up.
They want the mayor to take the leadership role in education.
And why won't Roy Romer comment on that Harvard study yesterday?
All right, you guys are telling us we've got to go to break. I'm sorry. Sherry, thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, we're going to be right back. Thanks. Tomorrow night, NBC4, in partnership with Cal State Northridge, hosts the first runoff debate for LA mayor. That's it for Sunday News Conference. By the way, that debate is 5 to 6 p.m. with Paul Moyer. If you'd like to comment on our show, you can by going to our website, www.NBC4TV, and click on Contact Us. Until then, thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Erickson. Have a great Sunday.
While hospital and